In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, my friends. This is Pinky.
And this is Priyanka.
And we're here to call out all things PakeAsPuck.
Yo, your shirt's cute.
I love it. Squad goals.
That's going to be us.
Yeah.
On a farm.
I just need to, we just need to put our faces on there.
Yeah.
You know, we'll recreate it. I'm sure somebody...
I really do hope that our husbands die first so that we can grow all together.
I think that would be a splendid idea. What can we do to make this happen? No, just kidding.
No, I'm not going there.
Too soon.
But yeah, I do hope that I get to like live out my days with my girlfriends. I think that's a good way to go.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love my man and all, but like after a while, it's like if I have to wipe your ass down the line,
that's not happening.
let's just call it right here.
Like, listen, I see my mother-in-law and how she has to take care of my father-in-law, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if this is where I want to go down the road.
Yeah,
I don't know. That probably makes it sound really bad, but whatever. I don't care.
In this moment, we are not ready to do that. Maybe.
No, I can't even take care of myself. Like, I don't even know why the universe decided to give me children, because I have no self-preservation skills. Like, when I have to take care of myself, I'm very like, "Mah!" Like, like that's one of the main reasons why my husband, when I started this whole thing, was worried about me traveling by myself, is because he knows I don't have good self-preservation skills. But if I have somebody else I have to take care of...
But you're pretty intuitive.
But I got there. Like,
okay.
I've gotten there. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. the first time, and you were there the very first.
You know to ask questions. You know, you can think for yourself. You're very resourceful.
I think so, but...
I don't think that you would find yourself in much trouble.
I mean, this is why I have tattoos. You know, like, you're supposed to have to get tattoos if you don't want to get human trafficked. Because tattoos make you distinguish who you are. So people who are human trafficking, they look for victims who always seem to be alone, who don't seem like they have a tight-knit family or community, right? Mm-hmm. And who are really kind of undistinguishable. Like, if you have multiple ear piercings, they're probably not gonna... If you have a lot of tattoos, they're probably not gonna take you...
My kids are getting piercings and tatted up immediately.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna go with my roommates to get their first tattoos, because they're like, you're not getting... And which is why they...
I thought it was for another reason, because I saw that, like, cannibals don't like the taste of tattoos.
They probably don't.
That probably
that also can help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That also can help you. But... So it makes me feel okay that I have tattoos now. Yeah. So I just keep getting them. Maybe we'll continue this.
Have you gotten another one recently?
No, but I want to continue this and like kind of up my arm maybe, and then I want to, because this side I still want to do the Phoenix. And then I want to do She-Ra.
That's gonna be in color.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is black, and then this is gonna be in color.
Okay.
And then I also want to do Rainbow Bright. But, like, the skin color of the two is going to be my skin color, so they don't have to, like, color them in. That way I can pretend, you know?
That's cute.
And then just put little crowns on both of them.
Oh, I love that.
But that's a lot of money, so I gotta wait.
Little by little.
little by little. I think the Phoenix that I want to get, I think he said it was, like, $1,000 or something.
Goddamn.
And it's going to take 8 hours to do. And I was like...
And you'd have to do it in one sitting?
2 sittings. Okay. He prefers 2 sittings.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, I would prefer that you prefer 2 sittings, sir, because you're doing the work and I don't want you to get tired.
Time,
yeah, I don't want you to get tired, so... But, yeah, what's been going on?
Nothing much. I had a little bit of, like, a meltdown earlier today.
Why? What happened?
In regards to my mother. So we can
go into
that. What did Betty do? Yeah, Betty was Bettying, huh? Nothing. So we kind of had an agreement, and this just kind of drives me nuts. This is the grind your grungy, basically. Yeah. Like, why are we still, as adults, coddling your boys, right? Yeah, that's where it's gonna come down to. That's where it's gonna come down to.
Same thing.
It's too much, and it got under my head. I didn't pick a fight.
Yeah.
I kept to myself, and I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever, and like let it go. But it bugged me afterwards, right? Yeah. So we had an agreement when my like wedding bridal season started. And I was like, I will book more weddings now that you're retired if you're willing to help out with the kids. Because when I'm gone Thursday, Fridays, my husband can't necessarily manage
He has to work.
drop off and pick
Yeah.
up and snack time and this and that. So if you're willing to step in and I have a commitment from you, I will expand my offerings,
Yeah.
right? Or my weekends, my availability. She said, okay, that's fine. And I made it very clear. I'm like, that means without ask, you should be here Thursday and Friday.
Like, I can't keep reminding you every week.
And if I'm not necessarily with a client, I still need to use that time to get caught up on other stuff. Those are my office hours then,
Yeah.
right?
Basically, yeah.
So that was the plan. She had agreed to it. And then now we weren't expecting this, but my brother and sister-in-law were expecting.
Yeah.
So fair, you know? And my mom did. She was like, well, come September, I might have to like reshuffle some things. I'm aware of that. I respect it. Of course, you got to help her out. She's got like an older daughter too, right? So like, it's hard. Like, you can't just leave them at home and whatever. I get it. But now we're about like a month and a half, 2 months in, and she has not given me Thursday, Fridays back.
What?
Yeah,
Are you for real?
So my mom's just like practically moved into my brother's house.
But like, so what does she think? Like, so if they did not move back home, if they had been living in the location that they were living before, what do you think they would have done? Like, would your mom literally have moved over there?
I think so.
That's excessive.
So she's still living there, helping out, and there hasn't been any like, hey, are you working this Thursday, Friday? Do you know, like, your commitment to me has just been washed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I have a client coming up. I'm working Friday, and then even next week I'm working Thursday, Friday, right? I had to stick my tail between my legs, make the call and ask, like, hey, I'm working Friday morning. Can I at least get you for like half a day? Mm-hmm. You know?
What did she say?
I didn't like having to ask this, but I had to because I need your help. I have a client.
Yeah. And it's not like you're making these appointments like a week before. You made these months in advance.
Months in advance.
Yeah.
And again, like when the baby came, I can understand like in that immediate vicinity as we're kind of like getting our bearings that like we all have to, you know, heavy lift and find a way around it, which me and my husband honestly are just so used to doing.
Yeah.
Right? We work around it, we figure out a way, and it's all good. We keep going.
So if you figured it out, how come your brother can't figure it out?
So I asked my...
He's super educated. He's
well,
a doctor.
I actually don't think that this is on my brother and sister-in-law. This really does fall on my mom.
Yeah, no, she's enabling
This completely falls on my mom because I don't think he knows what she committed to me.
No.
Either.
She's not going to tell him.
And she has just kind of devoted herself to like helping out, which again, like noble of you, but you literally left me hanging now.
So what happens?
And she doesn't see that. So when I asked her, I'm like, hey, can I get you for half a day? And yesterday she was like, well, let me see. I can ask them tomorrow.
What do you
and
mean
then
to ask?
this morning, she calls me to say like, if I get there around 9, do you think that'll be okay? I'm like, well, I need to leave by like 7:30 a.m. So Neil would have to handle the kids for like an hour and a half. I'm like, and again, I was just like, meet her where she's at. I'm like, that's fine if you can get there by 9. Like, I would have been back by like 10:30 anyway. But I'm like, that's fine. I left it at that. That's fine. And she's like, okay.
You didn't, like, first of all, your sister-in-law is still on maternity leave.
She's home.
Yeah, she's home. It's not like she went back to work. Like, I understand if your mom was living there and helping out, if they, like, she went back to work, your brother went back to work, and now what are we going to do with these 2 kids, right? That's not the case. Why is your mother behaving like this?
And it's not for weeks on end. I'm asking for half a day.
Yeah.
But I think what bothered me the most is that she never asked if she could just break contract with me.
Yeah,
but
like,
you're asking to step away to help me.
Right.
Like, you're helping one daughter, you're helping your son and your daughter. But when your other daughter's asking for help, why is it so hard for you to just be like, hey, Priyanka needs me. I'll be back at this time. There's no assertiveness there. No. And I think that's what hurt the most, because I was just like, what the fuck?
No, I
Because I'm just left to fend for myself yet again.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're feeling.
Neil heard the conversation. He was just like, yo, fuck it, we'll figure it out. Which we always do, but like that's
not fair.
That's shitty.
Because you had 2 kids. You decided to have 2 children. And if
But
both
again,
of those...
I'm not even upset with them because I really don't think they even know about this.
No. Your parents. I'm talking about your parents.
Right.
Your parents decided to have 2 kids, okay? Now, if both of those kids were boys, and if another daughter-in-law had been like, Mom, can you help me out? Now what would she have done if both of them were boys?
Right.
And this is... And I'm the same thing. It happened to me, okay? And it's similar, right? It's not that I need her. It's not that she had agreed to help me with anything. It was just that every time I would ask her to come visit, because she has grandkids here, you would think that she would want to get to know her grandkids. And every time I would ask her to come visit, and even like I would pick the appropriate time of the year because she doesn't like dealing with delays, with snow and rain and bad weather, and then her arthritis hurts and all of this bullshit. Yeah, her rheumatoid arthritis. Being, oh, I can't do this one where I have rheumatoid arthritis. So
I think mine's acting up too, actually, by the way, but whatever.
But like, and so I was like, okay, well then if you just come in the summer, and it's true. So I would ask her, I'm like, hey, can you come in the summer to help with the boys? Because we did need help, right? We didn't want to pay for so much daycare. I felt bad for making him wake up early. Like the amount of other people that watched my older son versus my younger son, I don't like. However, a lot of people deal with that, right? Yeah. That's why these childcare services are available, because we don't have family.
Right.
But when you do have family and they don't want to help out, guys, she would make so many excuses. She's like, yeah, but like, you know, how's your brother gonna go to the 3 laundromats if I'm not here? Who's gonna help him out? And I'm like, do you know how old your son is? I said this to her one time because I got mad. I got really mad. I was like, you know what, Mom? You're right. What is he going to do? He is a 36-year-old man. How is he going to be able to handle all of the different job responsibilities that he has? How do I handle all the different job responsibilities that I have? Like, I became a sarcastic cunt when I was talking to her because I was so done.
Yeah.
So done. Like, I am bending over backwards for you. I am making sure that we're asking you to visit.
And like, you're asking.
Like, the fact that I have to ask to visit.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, but my children, they will never have to ask me to visit them.
Same.
I will be the one that will reach out to my sons, not their significant others.
Yeah.
My sons, and I'll be like, hey, what are you guys feeling? I wanted to come visit the kiddos, visit you guys, just see how you are.
Or just make plans.
Yeah.
Like, hey, so-and-so is going on. I want to take the kids. You good with that?
Yeah. Like, I'm
be assertive and like just.
But these boomer Indian moms, as soon as when that boy enters the picture, everybody, like, she can have 7 fucking daughters, and then that 8th child could be a boy.
Will get all her time.
Right. Or the boy could be in the middle. Will always get all of her time. And it's just like, why? Why do you not value all of your children equally? Why do you not love all of your children equally? And I asked my mom, I was like, what is it? Yeah. Why do you think he can't? And I was, like I said, I wasn't nice about it. I was like, why do you think he can't handle life? He's been fucking up left and right this whole entire time. He didn't ask you if that was okay, and you're worried about him? Yeah. But you don't, and so after that, now, like, you know, when I had my hysterectomy, and when I had certain issues, like, she's like, oh, I want to be there to help you. I'm like, why? Why do you want to help me now?
Well, now, then you have to kind of just.
Right, I didn't say no.
You just have to let it happen.
Yeah, I didn't say no.
I will say, at least she heard you.
I don't know.
To some degree,
yeah.
She did absorb what you said, and she heard what you had to say.
I hope so.
I get the, tu ka meu vicharet, eu na ti.
Oh no, my mom does that
gaslit.
too. My mom gaslights me all the time.
All the time.
She does. She's like, you can't say stuff like that. I love you guys equally. I'm like, sure doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
It sure doesn't fucking feel like it. And they don't, but the thing is, they don't like it when you call them out.
Yeah.
They don't like it when you have something, in anything, any opposition to how they want to behave. Mm-hmm. If you have, you know, I think it would be better if you did this instead of this. They don't like it. Yep. It could be something as simple as you actually don't need to take your medicine 1 hour apart from each other. You can take it at 7 a.m. in the morning, Mom. Even then, they don't like it.
Yep. But if their son told them, it would be okay.
Right.
It's the law.
It's the law. It has to be. And it's like It's like the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to combat that.
I think just not taking it to heart. Like, at this point, I'm kind of just like, okay. And I let it go. It hurts, but
yeah.
what's the alternative? I'm going to talk to you about it? Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can't have an intelligent conversation with these boomer Indian moms.
It doesn't go over very well. I've tried to talk to her about it. It just ends up hurting me even more because they'll say something that is unrelated or they gaslight me even more. So then I'm just like, I'm not going to get anywhere with this. There's no point in explaining it. I don't have any resentment against my brother and sister-in-law about this. I truly just think that they're kind of left in the dark and they're just like, Mom's here to help us. Great.
Yeah, she doesn't tell them.
They're just going to take the help as it's coming, and that's fine.
Yeah, as you would. As anybody would, right?
Yeah.
My Usha's the same way. Remember I told you when when they were, and I learned all of these recent revelations, they all came in May. Mm-hmm. When she came for my older son's graduation and graduation party. And remember I told you I had dropped her off. I think I had even called you. I was so I was crying.
Yeah.
Like she went ballistic in the car. Ballistic for no fucking reason.
That's unnecessary.
When I was being calm and I was like, yeah, I'm just trying to find the parking. I haven't been here because I don't go to O'Hare. I go to Midway. And to her, it's just one airport. I'm like, it's not the same fucking airport. It's so different. And they keep changing shit around. And there's always construction. And things are always blocked off. And I'm just like, and then on top of that, it was raining. And she's trying to talk to me.
She's getting in your ear. You're trying to read the signs. It's just ridiculous.
And then she's like, I was, उतन कहवा नहीं आती कि आ exit छे, पण પછી तुम्हारे ऊपर upset થઈ जाओ. And I was like,
I hate it when they do that.
I was like, why would I be upset with you, Mom, if you're trying to help me? And I said it calmly like that. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I don't gusto bataru chun, blah, 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 blah. I was like, do you not remember how you and my mother-in-law behaved this whole entire week? Do you not remember how much bullshittery that you were spewing left and right because you were competing with her? Like, you don't want to take onus on your actions. And then finally, what made her break, what made her start pounding the dashboard with her hands like this as I was driving was the fact that I was like, Mom, I'm trying to find the parking because I know there's parking closer to your terminal. At least I'm not like my brother who just drops you off at LaGuardia and leaves. I always park and I walk you in. I always park and I pick you up. And she didn't like that. And she's like, I'm so sick. Like, she went crazy.
She has the guilt.
She has the guilt, and they don't know how to deal with it.
She doesn't know how to deal with it. She has that regret that she could have probably done things differently. Yeah. And
I hope she feels guilty. I want her to feel guilty. I've had those
fights with my mom, and she's like, what could I have done better? But a lot of times it's the fact that you're not changing it going forward. Yeah. You're still like using that. You're still behaving. Right. You're still doing the same thing. You're not hearing it and making the modifications. I get that the past is the past. You probably couldn't change it, but that guilt is consuming her, and that's why she reacted that way. Yeah. And that's sad, but at the same time it's like that's also kind of your own doing.
Yeah, she did it to herself.
So over the weekend I had a client. It was for a baby shower. Mm-hmm. And she was one of three. Mm-hmm. So
three daughters?
No, she was the middle daughter. She had an older sister and a younger brother.
Got it.
And oh my God, if you saw the dynamic between these three. Now, first of all, I think her brother had like flown in recently and he was staying with her. Mm-hmm. And then her sister lived locally, but she just drove in the morning while she was getting ready to hang out and get ready with her. Yeah. So the older sister has a daughter. And so her husband was, dealing with her. And she's like, I'm just going to go get ready with my sister. Which, so sweet. Yeah. So sweet. So they were all there. And then her husband, the dad, the baby daddy, I guess, was just kind of doing things around the house. He got ready and was getting ready to, like, take stuff to the venue, right? Mm-hmm. But when my client went to the room to get ready, she was, I guess, like, taking a while. So I was just looking over, like, does she need help getting, like, pinned up or something? Like, I was just kind of talking to the guys that were outside. Yeah, she was in the room with her sister, but I was like, is she doing okay? Her brother got up, knocked on the door, and she's just like, yeah, come on in. And he opens the door, and he was just like, oh, my gosh, you look fantastic. Aww. It was so sweet. Aww. I don't have that kind of dynamic with my brother. I wish that we were a little bit closer, but it's just very different. But I looked over at her husband. I'm like, I have 3 kids, and I just hope that they can be friends like this. Because the way that they were playing off of each other's energy all morning too, it was a lot of fun. I'm sure they have their hardships, but they do have like
Yeah.
a very, very friend like bond. It's very sweet. Where they look
I bet the three of them bonded over the trauma that they had to go through from
likely,
their parents.
likely,
Because
likely.
I mean, if they're Indian, then they dealt the same bullshit that we did, especially since there's a boy mixed in there. That's why
Yeah,
I asked what's the
likely. There
order and
was the
everything.
younger boy. But and so I was just telling them, like, I hope my kids are this close and that they can have those types of bonds too. Because my daughter too, she like hates that she has 2 brothers, but maybe she'll see the benefits of that growing up. So, anyways, I got home. My mom, my kids wanted to have a sleepover at my mom's house. So I also crashed at my mom's because it would be too much for her. So this way I was there the night before to alleviate some of that, right? So I went back to my mom. She was like having breakfast with them, and then I go and sit down with her, and I'm just making conversation with her. I told her about what happened in the morning, and I was just like, I hope my kids are that close. Like it's just coffee talk, right?
Yeah, you were just talking about your day.
Yeah. And so she's like, yeah, I wish that you and your brother were like that too. And I had to pause her for a second, and I was like, you know why, right?
You're the one.
Right. And I don't know what, and I tried to frame it in a way where we didn't result in a fight, and we didn't. We didn't. But I
That's
told
progress.
her, right. I told her, I'm like, I'm not trying to upset you, and I'm not trying to point fingers, and I don't want to result this in a, I don't want this to result in any sort of like animosity afterwards. But I'm like, one, yes, me and him are very different. But what you fail to see is that I could only do wrong and he could do no wrong.
Yeah.
And you made that very, very clear
Yeah.
at a very young age.
Yeah. Oh, the double standards.
Like
Every single double
even
standard.
when he was a baby, I'm like, I couldn't hold him right.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't allowed to hold him because I couldn't hold him right.
Put a fucking pillow on the lap and put the baby on
Right?
the
Like
yeah.
he was always protected. I couldn't hold him right. I was always yelled at. And then as I got older into like my adolescence, I wanted to test out other things. I was never accepted for the type of child that I was. I did. I tried drinking, and like I had friends that were different that didn't go to Swadhyay. You know, like I had other groups. I experimented with other things that was never accepted. It was a
See?
problem for me. But and then I asked her, and it's like, but he could do no wrong. She's like, no, he saw you doing wrong and he learned not to do that.
No,
And
he learned how to hide it.
That's what I was told. That look, you set such a bad example,
No.
and he saw you get yelled at.
No.
And so that's why he never did any of those things. That's what she tells me, and I think it's
No.
horseshit.
It is horseshit.
Right? And so I was just like, Mom, pause for a second. I'm like, you had an end of summer party on your new deck recently.
To this
I'm like-
day, she is still defending him.
Right. I'm like, you had this like end of the summer, you got a new deck built, you want to have people over. I'm like, why is it that you're friends with his friends' parents, but you never tried to get to know my friend's parents?
Yeah.
None of them were invited.
Yeah.
She don't even have their numbers. Forget that.
Because she doesn't care.
Because they weren't like her.
Yeah.
They didn't go to Swadhyay, so they weren't like her ideal crew.
Yeah.
So she never made the effort to like, one, understand me and what I needed. Mm-hmm. And I told her this. I'm like, you didn't accept me for who I was and what I needed and try to like relate to me. And then all my friends were corrupt. So you
Right.
didn't try to get to know them or their parents. Whereas you have his friends and his friends' parents in your favorites.
In your contacts, yeah, under favorites.
Right there. You created that divide.
Yeah. It's because when you started having friends that were different than her, and my mom's the same way. I think a lot of boomer Indian moms are the same way. When you start to have friends, being a daughter, that are different than what your mom is like the Swadhyay thing, right?
Yeah.
They don't know how to behave, and so they pick one extreme or the other. And for her, she was like, well, your friends don't have the same interests as me, when they should, because I'm older and they should respect me because I'm older, because that's what's drilled into our heads, right? And so they're not respectful to me. They go out drinking, they do this, whatever her excuses were,
Yeah.
right? Whatever her excuses were. But and it's always excuses, but they call them reasons.
Yeah.
Different word, same shit. right? And it's just like you didn't like. Luckily, I didn't have that issue. Like when I made these two Indian friends that I was talking about in high school, like my parents knew what family they came from because everybody knew everybody in our community. And my parents would invite their parents over for dinner, or vice versa. It wasn't like we didn't alienate whatever, you know. So it wasn't one of those things. But like they like to use all of these other excuses outside of the truth. And the truth is, she didn't know how to talk to the parents of your friends because she thought that the parents of your friends behaved the same way that your friends did.
Likely.
Right? Because why else would they do the things that they do?
Yeah.
Why, well, they're not in Swadhyaya.
They don't have sanskar.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but you don't either. You don't either. Like, and that's the biggest thing. And this is not just our many religions. This is just my thing with religion in general.
Yeah.
People are always like, well, they don't have the same values as us. And I'm just like, how do you know? Have you ever talked to them?
Right.
You never even gave them a chance. And here, like, whatever your brother did or didn't do, it wasn't because of what you did or didn't do. Right?
I know that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he knows that too.
He better know that.
He's got his own brain.
And he's educated, right? Because they look up to that. If you're a doctor or an engineer, they're gonna look up to that.
Yeah, he did everything right.
Right. And so it's like he saw how you were being treated with the choices that you were making in your life. And so he was like, well, I can't let the choices that I want to make
Be seen
because then my parents will treat me the same way that they treat her.
Yeah.
To your brother, it wasn't a boy versus girl thing.
So you raise up a really good point. My mom, when I was like in junior high school, whatever, she made it a point that like if I like somebody, if there's boys that I'm interested in, well, no, she didn't say like boys that you're interested in. She just said that you should bring your friends to the house because she wanted to have a visual to who I was hanging out with. Sometimes there were boys, right? And so then when she noticed that there were guys that were in our friends group, I didn't necessarily like them. We just had guys in our group, right?
Yeah.
And then like I think like in high school and stuff, like yeah, boys kind of we tested the waters. Like yeah, I might like him. There's a crush there, this or that. And so my mom wanted me to be like more friendly and open with her. But you weren't welcome to them even as friends. So like why would I tell you about a crush?
Right.
Like right like that
Your
door
demeanor
wasn't open.
Yeah.
Right. But then when I did have a boyfriend and she found out about it, she's like, I always told you to be honest with me and tell me if you like somebody, blah, 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 blah. I should know about these things. They should be coming to the house and I want to meet them and I want to meet their family. And like, she was scolding me about that, right? Okay. Well, I didn't just meet one and marry them.
Yeah.
I liked a few guys in my time.
I mean, you're testing the waters.
Right. And then sometimes I'd get bored with one and like potentially developed a crush on another one and love interest changed.
Yeah, you're in middle school,
But
high
then,
school.
right. And so it was all my decisions were constantly frowned upon.
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything right.
They weren't.
It left me feeling like there was nothing I could do to ever make you guys proud of me.
It wasn't. It's not that your decisions were right or wrong. It's that your decision for them.
Yeah.
It was that your decisions were right or wrong based on the community.
Right.
But what will people say?
Right.
What will people think?
When my brother, it's not like, so he never brought girls around. Probably because he was just like, well, we're not going to go through all that.
No.
Now we're not going to go through the heartache of involving the family, which I should have known better.
You should have.
Like, why would
Because
why would I want to involve my parents in my heartbreak? Probably because I had a broken heart and I thought I could go to them. No, I got scolded for that shit.
Because you were taking what your mom told you for face value.
Right.
Your mom said, I want to meet your friends, regardless if they're boys or girls. You're like, okay, bet. And so you did. And then when you did tell her, because she told you.
She didn't like it.
Right. So it's like, well, what makes you think that I'm going to tell you next time? Because I told you this time and you didn't like it and you were blaming me. Maybe I was the one that fucked it up. Maybe you were the one that wasn't behaving properly. Maybe you weren't treating him the right way. It's like, are you my girl or his?
Right.
Like, whose fucking mom are you at this point?
My brother never ended up bringing girls at home.
Because he knew.
Right. And so my mom one time, I remember he was in college. I think he was in like pre-med at the time. My mom calls me up and she's like, you know, can you ask him, like, does he know how to talk to girls?
Of course he knows how to talk to girls.
And I was just like, what do you mean? She's just like he knows, right? Like what to do, what to talk to a girl. I'm like, why don't you ask him?
Exactly.
She's like, she couldn't, right? So I just called my brother. But again, me and my
because
brother,
that's something your dad would have asked your brother, not
but
your
me and
mom.
my brother don't have rapport like that.
No.
Like I kind of just, I didn't go to my brother for stuff because eventually it just got like, are you gonna tell dad or am I gonna have to tell them? You know? And so I was just like,
Well, also he was a younger brother.
He was
too.
younger brother. He was golden child.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not gonna talk to you about shit. I can't talk to you about my feelings, you know? And so I call him up and I was like, okay, so mom just wants to know, like, do you know how to talk to girls? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, you're not gay, right? Because, like, that's a whole other problem.
Right, obviously.
And so I
For
just had to
them,
ask
yeah.
those, like, 2 qualifying questions. And I reported back and I'm like, he's good, I'll leave him alone. And the only girl he brought home was the girl that he was getting married.
Because he knew.
And that was it, right? Like, there was no, like, oh, do you like her, this or that? No, this is my girl. This is who I'm going to marry. Like, he was allowed to call the shots.
Yeah. We never would have been allowed to call the shots.
No.
We never would. Like, the first person that my parents ever met was my husband. Mm-hmm. Because did I have crushes? Obviously. But you think I could have brought half the crushes that I had home? No, because they weren't Indian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, we're not going there.
We're not going there. Like, I mean, it was enough that they were letting me go and hang out with these other Indians in our town that weren't even, my parents were like, why are you hanging out with them? Come on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, because they're nice to me. And you can't dictate who my friends are. Like, I'm sorry. It does not matter how many times you force me to be with so-and-so auntie because you want me and her daughter to get along and be friends. But if we're not going to be
She's likely a bitch.
Right. She, not likely. She is a bitch. Like, to this day, she's a bitch. She's still, like, I think I went back to, anyways. But, it's just, yeah, they don't want to take onus on what they have done. And so when you bring it up now and you bring it up in a very adult way. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like, until you die. Until you die.
When she said that, she said, Marta, who did my home? I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah, if you keep fucking up.
Yeah. If you keep bringing it up. Like, don't say ignorant comments like, I wish you and your brother were that close. Bitch, you made it so that we weren't that close.
And I very calmly did explain to her what had happened.
Yeah.
And when they are kind of reminded of what they did.
They don't like
it.
Yeah. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? You're going to say you're sorry, and then you're going to say you're going to do better, and then you're going to be better for your grandkids.
Because literally 3 days later, I got blown off.
Yeah, you did.
When I had to ask for help on a day that I was allotted.
That, if that would have pissed me off.
It pissed me off. I cried all day.
That's ridiculous.
It consumed me.
Like, because I'm the type of person where if I asked my mom for help and she agreed, like, same situation. Like, if I was in your shoes, I would do everything so independently. Like, I would go the other extreme. Like, she would.
So that happened when I was pregnant with the last one. Mm-hmm. Because, did I ever tell you this?
No.
Oh my God. Wait, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
You promise?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was pregnant with the last one, my mom had hurt her back. And I knew, like, with her injury that she could only help out so much.
Yeah, of course.
So I wasn't really counting on her to step in and, like, watch the other 2. But my mom and my brother had some sort of, like, overnight meeting. They had come to my house, like, New Year's Eve, I think. They came to my house.
Oh, and this is where your brother was like, man, you can't do this by yourself.
He called me the next day on his drive back, and he was just like, you think you can do this by yourself?
Yeah, I remember that part.
And I haven't forgotten his words. Like, if anybody tries to tell me that I heard differently, fuck you.
Yeah.
I remember exactly what I heard. And I was so pissed because I never asked her for help.
Exactly. She's the one that offered it.
She put herself in that position. She assumed that I needed her to be there. And worked herself up like, how I can't handle those 2. And she played victim with my brother.
Yeah.
And my brother had to say that to me. And I was just like, I never asked you to put yourself in that position with my kids.
Yeah.
I would have figured it out. Which I did. Then after that, I'm like, you guys are talking about shit when you could have called me or we could have talked about this face to face.
Yeah.
At my house. You guys are at my house less than 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't talk about it. You had to talk to me about it afterwards. I cut her out.
Yeah.
I just put the barricade up and I started asking, my friends, everybody. I was just like, who can really kind of step in. Now, I did have, and she's still a friend of mine. I just haven't really been able to like reciprocate. I hope she's always helped out with the kids, if not the children, with my dog. And she offered to step in and help with the kids. She was like, maybe I'll just like work from home, or I'll just take that afternoon off. Like, let me know what's kind of happening, and we'll go from there. My mom didn't like it.
Of course she didn't, because you got some other bitch involved. Yeah.
All of a sudden, so when I did have a plan in motion, we had 2 people set up for backup. There was going to be like my friend that was going to be like, intervention 1, and then my cousin who could have just come to like entertain the kids. And then if Neil had in and out privileges at the hospital, because it was also COVID times, we didn't know if once he signed in, he was in, right? And so I'm like, if he has in and out privileges, he'll come home overnight, deal with the kids, and then I'll deal with the baby. We had a plan.
Yeah.
But no, my mom didn't
They don't like that. They don't like that.
She didn't like that I had a backup plan. And I think the part that bugged her the most was that it was a white friend.
Yeah.
It was a white friend that stepped up that she don't know like that.
Because she doesn't want to know.
Right. So what does she do? She still shows up. And comes with food and this and that. And I'm just like, my friend offered to help with the kids. Like, she also should bond with my children. She's my friend.
Yeah.
But no, my mom stepped in.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, she was okay to step in.
She didn't help because she wanted to help.
She helped because she didn't want other people to know that my mom, she wasn't there.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. And like that, but that's exactly the type of person. Did you just...
I may have. No, I didn't crush it, though.
But that's exactly how I behave. Because after she blew up in the car in May with me, I cut her out. I was like, I cannot behave with a grown-ass woman with a geriatrical...
She's going to throw a temper tantrum.
Yeah, especially when I'm speaking calmly and quietly, and I'm doing her a favor. I'm doing her a favor, okay? Like, I'm trying to fucking park and take you to where you need to go. And yet you want to treat me like this.
But you feel the need to do that because that is, like, the right thing to do. You're constantly being considerate of her feelings.
Yeah. But she's not considerate of mine.
Right, but maybe you do just do the drop-off.
Well, so you know what I started to do after that May trip that she was here? Whenever she says something to me on the phone, right? And if it regards my brother or something, I fucking go and text him. I'm like, did you say this to mom? I fact check her. And he fact checks me.
Yeah.
Like, growing up, we weren't that close just because, like, his formative years, he was in India until he was 3, and then he moved back.
I remember that.
And I was like, who's this guy? And then, we just led our own different lives or whatever. We were never, like, butting heads. We never really fought. We got along pretty well. My parents didn't butt us against each other. Like, they didn't do that part. But there were certain things where I was like, well, this is not fair.
Right.
This is not fair. Like, I followed all the rules.
Gender inequality right there.
Yeah, like you told me I had to do A, B, C, and D, and I did A, B, C, and D, and yet now I don't have freedom, yet didn't do any of these things, and he has all of this freedom, and then, as he now is taking care of her, because he had never, up until my dad died, he wasn't in the picture that much. He lived his own life because he was not considered. He was like, I'm going to do what I want to do. Yeah. And I was like, maybe I should start doing that. Maybe I should just not worry about her feelings because she doesn't worry about my feelings. And so I barely called her this at all. Since May, I've barely called her. I did go to the baby shower, and I didn't tell her, and she was surprised. She's like, oh, and then everything that she was saying that weekend, she'd be like, one of my cousins drove up from New Jersey, from Edison, and, they have all the sweets and stuff there. And so she got, like, a box of jalebi and a box of papada or whatever. And my husband saw it, and he was like, oh, yeah, I think mom got some jalebi and whatever. And I turned around and I looked at her. It was after everybody left, because I was like... Yeah, no, I had to, like, bid my time, I couldn't just call her out in the moment. And so a couple of days later, I was like, Mom, why did you buy a whole box of jalebi? You have diabetes.
No,
you can't eat that.
A daughter.
No. I was like, you can't eat that. She's like, nah, I told Madhuri to get it from Edison because you were here. And I was like, but you didn't know I was coming. You saw me in the parking lot on Saturday morning. You didn't know I was coming. That was one incident. Like, so she does things like this, right? And then I was like...
Oh, I thought it was, like, because they're having a girl that they, like, veg jalebis, right?
But she says little lies like this all the time. little lies
Just to butter you up.
to make herself look good. And I'm just like, because she knows that I'm not happy with her behavior.
Yeah.
So she's been trying to kiss my, like, she'll call me first. Because
Yeah.
I go the complete opposite. Like, if you want to treat me like shit, fine. I don't need you in my life. I've gotten this far without you. And I can, I was born into this world by myself, and I will die by myself. And I know that's not a good mentality to have, but it saves
When
me.
you've been let down so many times, you can't help but think like that, though.
Like people question,
Just
why don't
left
you
hanging.
like, people are always like, how come you don't, like, you have like little to no expectation from people? And I'm like, oh, that's easy. My mom made it so that I have no little to no expectation, because every time I expected something from her or somebody else, I was extremely let down. And if that's in my control, my expectation of people, well, guess what? My expectation of you is in the middle of the earth. It's where the lava is. Because I haven't been disappointed with people.
You have no reason to expect more from others. And
right. And it saved me so many times.
It's shitty, but you're happier that way.
And it's shitty that it has to be with somebody who birthed me, because you don't want that, right? Like, just like your mom wishes that you and your brother had a tight relationship. You wish that you had a tight relationship with your mom. I
absolutely wish I was closer with my brother. Like, I see friends that, like, call their brothers or sisters up with, like, big news. Like, I don't necessarily think... I text you! But
that's fine! That's
right! Fine. Like, of course I want to share news with him, but he's not, like, the first person that I tend to think to call.
Listen, sometimes it's not about the family you have, it's about the family you build. All right. Leave your questions, comments, all that BS down below. We will talk to you next time. Okay, bye.